Well, the opposition National Democratic Congress has vowed to take its Yentua Demonstration across all 16 regions in the country to force government to drop the controversial e-levy policy. The youth wing of the party led thousands of Ghanaians to hit the streets of Accra Thursday in protest of the levy, which they say will further worsen the plights of ordinary people. The levy, since its announcement by the finance minister, has led to rigorous debates and near fisticuffs in Parliament. In an unprecedented move to get it passed, the government has had several meetings to get the buy-in of the people, but that is yet to succeed in convincing the people. Maxwell Agbagba covered the demonstration for us. Here is the report.
This protest, you can see Joshua Kamba, organizer of the NDC, telling the people to take their time. This has created some kind of gridlock heading to the central business district, because a lot of vehicles are unable to move. If you work in the central business district, someone mentioned to me that if you work at the central business district, as for today, you get to work tomorrow. His exact words. So these are the concerned students?
Yeah, concerned students.
University students of Ghana.
It doesn't make sense. Like, apparently, it doesn't make sense. Okay. Why do you charge high for common students? Assuming I'm supposed to receive something as chop money for school, only the charges will make my parents not want to send me. It's not fair. Okay. It's not fair. The government should do something about it.
Look at the size of 22 Genke, 2 cities. 2 cities, Genke.
But this is big.
Come again?
This is big.
If it is big, it's 5 cities. No, 5 cities. 5 cities. So these 2 cities, Genke, Ghana that we are now. And look at the leaders that is ruling us. Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia, they are totally killing this nation. Bawumia vote them out of power.
My name is Isaka Inusa. Isaka.
You're an Okada rider?
Yeah, I'm an Okada rider.
Why are you taking part in this protest?
Because of the fuel. The fuel price is too high. It's too high. That's why we are taking a demonstration. And the e-levy too is too much. If we want to send money to our parents in the village, they will take 1.7%. So we can't pay. So we are demonstrating against it.
President,
leader.
Okay, so you're the leader of the KAI.
Yes.
Why are they taking part in this?
Yeah, but that's not an advocate. Yeah, bet you are no because Bawumia Sabaheno, Bawumia say tax, young to your tax, or no, or bad power, young to your tax. Bande, everyone was say, Bawumia to meet you now, I can say a bet to your tax.
Okay, well, Jamila is a leader for the headquarters here who are also taking part in this protest, and she's saying that the Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia told them that they will not pay tax. That was in the heat up to the elections, but she's surprised now that he's the one talking about the payment of taxes.
The NDC has to tax. Yakuya guy of phone. Yakwa Swa, Yanyaka Suya. Ukwa, Unyakura, Ebia 20 cities and 30 cities. A week of Sumas and the woman and this Gama woman minimum. It is as yes, only 100 cities. A week now would be sending my woman Mia. So I go so the Kawa. You are 24 years. Say, Yana to Abano man. Yana to Abano. Amano and about power no so. And then what you say about my tax, I'm my head to ya. And this also on you for Muswa. And on the Yashi, Yan him say to Abano man. Yan to Mano Chinapio. Or neighbor lie.
Well, she says if government goes ahead to impose this tax on them, it would have political implications. She says it would have political implications, and they're not going to vote. They're not going to vote for the New Patriotic Party in the 2024 of general elections.
Even then, the numbers as you see them is very, very impressive. But the problem is that the government is not credible. So what the people are saying is that this government has been playing monkey business with Ghanaians for more than 5 years now. That is the point. It's not about what they are saying. So you don't cite what liars tell you. You don't rely on what people who are not trustworthy will be communicating to you. So the problem is that there is no trust. There is a trust deficit between the citizens and the government. And so that is why it will not serve any purpose to now be arguing based on what liars are telling you.
So if the government had demonstrated the credibility, or let's say shown or proven that they can properly handle our money and account for it, then this wouldn't have a problem with that, I believe.
That is the problem. They cannot handle monies. And they have proven so far that they have messed us up. You took an economy which was rated at B+. You came down to B, came down to B-. You are now at C. So how can you tell us that we are on the right path? So you are now coming to tell us what will be a panacea for our economic problem.
Meanwhile, the NDC says it will stage similar protests across the country to mount pressure on government to, of course, abandon the bill. Here's chairperson of the party, Samuel Ampofu, addressing the protesters after the petition was presented to Parliament.
University students at here 5 weeks. Nakofu amusi wamu create employment amawom. Yaba to aba, wamu the forms so ba say one by on permanent no, and no mu nyina eden egu fie. Na sa wo hwa, sa wo person hu sa na Ghana ayadin a ko su ni labadi na koto dokun, na he dokun size. The size of kenke and fish will tell you how the economy of this country is shrinking. Enunti yasam ne say abaya ya disika sha won sasa hwe o man so. Auditor General report about few when Kwan say about 12.38 billion cedis. Muntimi count for it. Na emwa ekwa bibia no mo ya yesaja bigu mu ana. Enunti agina ha ebo emabu ni nyina abaso. Na ya ka kire aban ne say this is just the beginning of series of protests that will take place across the length and breadth of this country. We are going to engage every Tom, Dick and Harry. Nasa Nana Akufo-Addo. 1995, Nana Akufo-Addo sorry say on person VAT or the Babano or Manipa who can have. A very peaceful demonstration to show that we are very civil and we are very disciplined. Clap for yourself because you have done very well. Media Mijinaha. Mami pesa me catch Ghana for say yande yani 137 gallant MPs now our parliament no. We said no to e-levy.
Well, fortunately, one of the leaders of the demonstration, who doubles as the Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC, Eric Edem Admana, is joining us tonight to have a conversation on this. Good evening to you, sir. Welcome to Joy News Prime. So obviously, this is just the first of many that are yet to come. But what's your impression of today's demonstration?
Good evening, and thank you very much. Good evening to all our cherished viewers across the world. Today's demonstration was a big success. As organizers of the demonstration, we had expectations, and I'm happy to report that we exceeded our expectations with the success of the demonstration. One, in terms of attendance, we got very, very impressive numbers, and these are people who, out of their own love for the country and to demonstrate their interest, decided to join us. Secondly, was a violent-free or incident-free demonstration. We worked closely with the police and the NDC and the coalition's own internal security, and we ended the demonstration without any casualty. And so, for me, as a member of the coalition, I am happy to report that we exceeded our own expectations, that we are very happy, we are impressed with what we saw, with what we did, and we are happy to replicate this in all the other regions across the country.
And all you seem to be doing now is to assess what's happening now based on the streets manifestations. But the other leg of the concern is about the petition you submitted to Parliament. You're seeking government, or Parliament by extension, to act on the demands that you're making. Are you hopeful that this protest would change anything?
Yes, there is a reason why we did not submit a petition to the President. And that is simply because we have absolutely no confidence in the ability of the government to listen to our concerns and deal with it. These governments have demonstrated time without number that they are recalcitrant and they do not care about the good people of this country. And so that is why we did not even present a petition to them. But talking about Parliament, it is the house of the people, the representative of the people. We are very hopeful that at least the 137 gallant men and women who are in Parliament on the ticket of the NDC, and a speaker who has shown his commitment to ensure that we protect the interests of the good people of Ghana, will ensure that this e-levy does not pass.
Whichever way you look at it, the New Patriotic Party side of the House has an additional seat, making them 137 in terms of the majority. So if you're seeking to change anything, you would still need the buy-in of the New Patriotic Party?
Ideally, we really need at least one or two of them to be true to their conscience and to be true to their constituents and join the NDC to oppose this e-levy. But so far, they have demonstrated that they are embarking on a groupthink. However, we still think that the 137 members of Parliament that we have so far, with 137, held the fort, and that is why the e-levy was not passed last year or in January. And so we are still confident that the 137 will be able to get the results for us. And one thing that is key, it's also the fact that even as the government is embarking on town hall meetings, they are facing stiff opposition from the people. Well, all these 137 plus 1 on the side of the NPP, their constituents are not in agreement with this e-levy.
Well, in 2016, John Dramani Mahama told us that governance was a serious business. Don't you feel that that's a similar situation in which we find ourselves today?
Governance being a serious business does not mean that when you want to impose hardship or a levy, that simply does not make sense. The people should just support you. Now, in this case, the NDC is not against government raising money, and it's important to state that. What we are saying is that government is seeking to raise 6.9 billion from this regressive e-levy. And that is even if the mobile money or the digital transactions as we have it remains the same. But we have been told by the telecommunication companies that from the very day the government announced their intentions to charge the e-levy, transactions dropped drastically. It means that they will not even be able to meet their projections. But assuming without even admitting that they raised the 6.9 billion that they are projecting, we are saying that we have alternative ways by which the government can raise far more than the 6.9 billion without charging that on the good people of Ghana. And we have given them these ways. One is that reduce government expenditure. The profligacy of this administration is too much. So reduce government expenditure is one of the ways that you can make some savings. Two, stop the corruption. As we speak, the Auditor General report reveals that over 12 billion is being lost to corruption, to irregularities on an annual basis. And so we are saying that seal the loopholes and make some savings. The third thing that we have advised this government to do is that learn how to prioritize. A government that seriously needs money, the government that is saying that they lack resources, will not be funding the president to be embarking on trips with the most expensive, the most luxurious private jets, and paying about 15,000 pounds an hour for these trips.
And I'm sure that this conversation will keep going. It will keep going. We have a minute to go, but do we know when next you are going, and what's the next region?
Just like we did with the Greater Accra one, we will have a conversation with the police agree on a date and communicate that to the public. But there's one thing that is sure, and I'm happy to tell you on authority, that the coalition will continue organizing the public manifestations until such a time that Parliament listens to the concerns of Ghanaians. But for the e-levy, we'll not pay it today, we'll not pay it tomorrow, and we'll never pay it.
So that's the National Deputy Youth Organizer of the NDC, but there are more issues happening because Mr. Joseph Osei-Owusu, the first Deputy Speaker, presiding as Speaker, has directed that the petition which the NDC submitted today from the Coalition of Concerned Ghanaians against the Electronic Transactions Levy bill should await the Speaker himself, Alban Bagbin, for direction. The petition was received jointly by Mr. Frank Nodombre, who's the Majority Chief Whip, and Mr. James Kluchi-Aveji, who is the Deputy Minority Leader. The first Deputy Speaker gave the directive on the floor of Parliament on Thursday when Haruna Idrisu, the Majority Leader, sought to know whether or not he should seek to invoke Order 76 to table the petition, or it should wait for the main Speaker, Alban Bagbin, himself.
The petition, I requested the leaders to receive it on behalf of Mr. Speaker. I've looked at the petition. It is addressed to Mr. Speaker. I think the appropriate location is hand it over to the person to whom it is intended. Then he will give directions as to how to do it.
Well, so you had the first Deputy Speaker there, but Adam is still here with us in studio. How would you respond to the first Deputy Speaker?
Well, I think ideally, sitting in for the Speaker, he should have attempted at least going through the petition or starting a conversation on it. But personally, I'm happy, and this is my personal position. I'm happy because by all intent and purposes, by all his actions and utterances, he is so recalcitrant that he was ready to engage in an illegality to have the e-levy passed. And so I'm happy he's leaving it for the Speaker, who has demonstrated integrity and his willingness to protect the interests of Ghanaians to come and speak to the petition. So I'm happy that the Honorable, Right Honorable Alban Subana Bagbin will be the one to address the petition.
Adam Agbana, I'm grateful.